Welcome back. A couple of weeks ago, the new UK Minister for Africa, James Doddridge, was in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to discuss regional coordination in the fight against terrorist group Boko Haram. That meeting had been a follow-up to a June 12 ministerial meeting that held in London and was to reiterate a common stance by the international community not to tolerate Boko Haram. My colleague Larry Lassisi had a chat with Mr. Doddridge, who had only been 5 days in office, on his visit to Nigeria.
I was appointed, this is my 5th working day as Minister for Africa, and Nigeria was the first country that I came to. And I wanted to come here for a number of reasons. There's a close working relationship between the United Kingdom and Nigeria, which I wanted to continue. But there's a number of pressing issues as well. Security issues in northeastern Boko Haram. There are issues of prosperity and opportunities here. And there are a number of other issues, including human rights issues and the Chibok girls. You know, the international campaign is still there. And I know it's a little simplistic in that there were problems before the 200-odd girls were abducted. And there continues to be problems, but it's symptomatic of the broader issue that does need to be dealt with in the northeast.
As regards the issue of the regional effort, now a lot of people might have felt that Nigeria isn't getting enough support from some of her neighbors that could help in the fight. During your meeting, did you feel there was maybe areas that could be encouraged among them?
Well, it strikes me that everyone's working very well together. You know, all the key players were there today. All the key players have been working, pooling intelligence so that a broader picture can be built up for the counter-terrorism effort. That's not to say more can't be done. If everything was perfect, we wouldn't have had to meet today. But the picture of the region working together is one that I've seen today. Rather than any more negative idea. But there is still room to work and opportunities to work more closely regionally and internationally. But the trajectory is correct. Well, particularly coordination on the borders between the armies on either side. I think we've got the intelligence capability coming through, but that's you know, building up trust, communication, and understanding of different ways of working. But there's an appetite to do that, which is a big step forward, because this is whilst it's primarily a Nigerian problem, it's not exclusively a Nigerian problem. It's a regional problem, and international terrorism affects us all, including the United Kingdom. You know, we're here because we're friends of Nigeria. I'm here because I want to continue that relationship. But also it's in the British national interest and the global interest that terrorism can't take hold in places like Mali, northeast Nigeria, and one could mention half a dozen other places that we see on TV every evening.
Okay, I'm sure obviously one of the issues you might have talked about will be the concern about human rights violations in the region. I don't know if there was anything you spoke about or what you found out during your meeting.
Well, I mean, you speak of laws and so forth. I'm not an expert in Nigerian law, but clearly the situation in northeast Nigeria is extreme. And quite often people act in extreme ways, ways in which I wouldn't expect from a British context to happen. I think we need to have an understanding and sympathy around that, but also have a frank dialogue around human rights and what we should aspire to. But it's working with our partners to get a shared understanding. For example, if intelligence is received that there is a terrorism threat or a certain community may be perpetrating a threat, in the UK we would investigate that. We wouldn't go in all guns blazing. And actually not only is that the right thing to do from a human rights perspective, it's actually the right thing to do from a counter-terrorism perspective, because we can't isolate communities. And internationally in conflict situations where we've seen countries, either external countries or internally, governments acting in a very heavy-handed way, it's been entirely counterproductive. And at the moment, although Boko Haram is having limited success. It has no great popular following in northeast Nigeria. You know, the popularity is there for the taking. The Nigerian government and sort out the scourge of Boko Haram. And if we as an international community, or indeed anyone else, acted in an overly heavy-handed way, as a blunt instrument, hitting a whole community or whole sections of community, that will be counterproductive both to kind of civil society and the northeast Nigerians' relationship with the Nigerian state. So we would encourage, the British government would encourage a much more nuanced approach of investigation and understanding the issue and dealing with it in a progressive way rather than in a blunt way.
Okay, you met with the president. How did you, how do you feel the government is dealing with the issue of Boko Haram?
Well, firstly, today I was given fantastic access to the Nigerian government, for which I'm very grateful, and I think reflects strongly the relationship and great respect the two countries have. So not only with His Excellency President Goodluck Jonathan, but having met 3 times with His Excellency Foreign Minister Mr. Wali, who was there with a meeting with President Goodluck Jonathan, and that was a useful and frank exchange about the current situation, the AU conference, which he just come from, and the conference that I'd been at today with the international community, speaking about northeast Nigeria, talking about the resources that the international community and specifically the British government are providing at the moment, and how we can help over the coming months to develop that relationship. And we talked about other issues as well, about the prosperity agenda, about the opportunities in Nigeria for Nigerians and the United Kingdom to increase growth, to increase business, so that there's more money out there to fund the development activities you want to see in Nigeria and we want to see in Nigeria.
Finally on the programme, we cannot restate how much the late British Deputy High Commissioner Peter Carter will be missed. He'd only been a little more than a year in the country. During my last interview with him, which was during the time of Nigeria's Independence Day celebrations last year, I'd asked him on his perception of Nigeria 53 years since our independence from Britain, and on bilaterals between both countries. Your investments in Nigeria has been threatened by not just corruption, but insecurity. What do you think has helped terrorism or insecurity persist in Africa, especially Nigeria?
It varies from country to country, so it's very difficult to generalise what the issues are that have led to security situations in one country or another across the African continent. And clearly we could have a long conversation about how the situation has developed in the north, particularly the northeast of Nigeria over the years. But what we've seen in recent years is the way in which some terrorist groups, and obviously I'm thinking particularly here of Al-Qaeda, have taken advantage of, and actually that's the wrong word, have exploited tensions, economic and social difficulties in individual countries, not just in Africa, but elsewhere. Yemen is an extremely good example. But how organisations such as Al-Qaeda have exploited these tensions to infiltrate, and to spread instability, to spread terror, and to create a climate in which mistrust and doubt about how to tackle these problems, mistrust and doubt how these develop.
I know it may sound a really simple question, but is the UK also interested in investment from Nigeria?
Absolutely. There's a very, very significant Nigerian diaspora in the UK, both British Nigerians, in other words, dual nationals, who have either grown up in the UK or have parents who grew up in the UK, and have gone to the UK for whatever reason, and mononational Nigerians who see the UK as a great opportunity. One of the most astonishing things I've noticed in my few months here in Lagos as Deputy High Commissioner is the range and the quality of talent among Nigerians. You are some of the most creative people I have ever come across. There's a real hunger for success here, and Lagos is the place where people come to be successful. So I'm surrounded by people who want to be successful, and more than want to be, they are successful. They are creating new technologies, new manufacturing, and we are in the market for what Nigerians have to offer, whether it's manufactured goods, whether it's services, whether it's technical know-how. We want it because we know that Nigerians already make a significant contribution to our national economic well-being.
Well, we're going to go to your closest and best ally in the West, the United States. The government is partially shut down. I know it's only peculiar to the US, but does it affect you in any way? The UK, I mean.
Well, again, it's for the US government and its representatives to comment on the federal shutdown in the United States itself. Clearly, anything of this sort which happens in the United States has a ripple effect. And I know that my colleagues in London and my colleagues in our embassy in Washington will be watching the situation closely, as we would any situation like this with any country that we have very close relationships with. So obviously we want as quick a solution to the difficulty over the US budget. We want a solution as quickly as possible and a return to normal, because we all know that the stability and growth of the US economy is absolutely important to us, not just in the United Kingdom, but across Europe, to you here in Nigeria. And none of us wants a situation in which the US economy falters, because that does, as I say, have a ripple effect on those of us who are also getting our economies back in good order.
Well, our thoughts and prayers here on Diplomatic Channel are with the Carter family as they make burial arrangements for the late Peter. He will indeed be greatly missed. And that's where we end the program this week. Remember, you can reach us via email, Facebook, or Twitter. The addresses are on your screen. I am Amarachi Ubani. Thanks for watching.